One of 8 remaining unbeatens in college football. The Miami Hurricanes on the road this lovely Saturday afternoon in a place they've struggled. Chapel Hill, North Carolina, to battle the Tar Heels. Thanks for joining us. Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer, Chris Budden downstairs. And look, Miami's had 3 straight one-score games. They have 2 big games, Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, after this. So what can they take from this game?
Well, what Mark Richt wants them to take is a dominating performance. Those close games came because they couldn't close people out. And on the offensive side of the ball, it's about Malik Rozier doing better in a couple of areas. Third down percentage, he needs to be better. Red zone, they need more TDs and less threes. But I have a suggestion. Get the ball to Amon Richards, who seems to be much healthier today than he has been.
Yeah, mentally healthy as well. He had 4 drops in the game against Syracuse last week, and it took his roommate Rozier to say, look, keep your head up. Richards thought for a moment that he might not even finish the game, and after the freshman year he had, he's a key component for the unbeaten Hurricanes, who have deferred. And Anthony Ratliff-Williams and the Tar Heels in their new jerseys on the return. Down he goes just across the 10-yard line. So tough field position as Amari Carter made the tackle. Chaz Surratt, redshirt freshman quarterback, he will likely get all the snaps today because Brandon Harris is out with an injury for North Carolina. Surratt, very young quarterback. The idea this year was to let him come after being issued walk-on status for Roy Williams. Let him come and be kind of the package quarterback and let Harris start, but that didn't happen.
No, and there are a lot of pieces missing around him, and he's a dual threat guy. But today he just has to execute the basic stuff for this offense.
Jordan Brown hit by R.J. McIntosh, and he's without his freshman running back, Michael Carter. He's out with injury. What do you do as a quarterback when everything's crumbling?
That's a good question, but as a quarterback, you always have to play within the design of the scheme, and that's what this young quarterback Surratt has to do today.
A lot of motion they're going to run. This is Daz Newsome, and a 3rd down coming up. I mean, you said it earlier on SportsCenter, Miami's rush defense has been gashable at points this year, surprisingly.
Yeah, and that's probably the best thing that North Carolina has done, although that hasn't been great. But it's this down and distance where you really have to be careful if you're North Carolina early in this one.
Coaches were telling us yesterday, Chris Kapilovic, the offensive coordinator, they just want a 1st down on this opening drive to kind of stabilize themselves. That's a slight pipe dream right now on 3rd and long for Surratt, who does have time, and it's incomplete. Dropped by Newsome, a little behind him, and punt time for Carolina.
Great protection, bad throw. Daz Newsome was one-on-one inside, a high safety, man-to-man underneath. North Carolina had exactly what they wanted, and Surratt just did not put the ball on Newsome. That was a huge missed opportunity early in this one.
By the way, if you think the injuries were troublesome on the offensive side, the special teams has been hit as well. Hunter Lent is in for Tom Sheldon. The second punter, booting it to Braxton Berrios, who keeps his feet. And he is to midfield. Great field position for the Hurricanes. Something the Carolina defense has seen too much this year, a short field behind them. As Rozier, the redshirt junior, who knew that he would end up in this position after Mark Richt told him that he wasn't going to play for him because he was a little too flashy, Rozier said.
That's not what you want to hear. You're never going to play for me. And then there was the qualification that came later. Unless you do a couple of things. Have better practice habits, work on your feet, and play within the system. Mark Richt is a systematic teacher, and he needed his quarterback to get on the same page.
Former baseball player. First start ever was in the Research Triangle a couple of years ago against Duke, as Travis Homer gets upended for a loss of 2 by M.J. Stewart. But that start 2 years ago for Rozier, his first start, was the game after Al Golden was fired. He said it was a crazy week. And Mark Richt now taking over that job. Rozier has fallen in favor.
Yeah, how would you have responded? You're never going to play for me. Pause. Unless you do a few things, and it went from doubt to motivation, and he's playing really well currently.
And so is the Carolina defense in the first quarter of games. A short field for Miami, but Carney makes the stop, and it's going to be 3rd down and 10.
Yeah, John Papuchis is getting his guys on the defensive side to play very, very well. Great on 3rd down, really good in the red zone. They've eliminated or at least limited explosive plays, but down in distances like this, 3rd and 10, is where North Carolina has to live today and get off the field by making one play right here.
Play action, Rozier. Pocket holds up, it is incomplete. Barrios the intended target, and Carolina's defense holds the line at midfield.
This has been the script after about the first 2 weeks. Carolina's defense plays well even after a quick 3 and out by the offense. That man-match combo coverage on the back end, it's somewhat like Florida State likes to do, and that's the look that gave Malik Rozier fits earlier in the year.
He's been very good against the blitz, but not against a lack of a rush. So Feagles sprays this one to M.J. Stewart, and Carolina will have it once again in the shadow of its own end zone. Miami still unbeaten, trying to make a statement today. Hurricanes still unbeaten. Chris Budden chatted with Mark Richt a little earlier. What did he tell you, Chris?
Well, I asked him before the game, how do you get out of these one-score games? And he says, really, it just boils down to the fact that we haven't played our best football yet. It's due to some bad passes, some drop passes as well. But there's nothing of the idea that it's a lack of concentration. They just, in his words, haven't really whooped up on anyone yet.
And you put yourself in danger in college football by doing that, don't you?
Yeah, and you're looking down the road, really. Coaches don't like to do that, but you have Virginia Tech followed by Notre Dame, so they need one of those whoopings today if they can get it together.
Jordan Brown, the tailback, breaks the tackle, and he's across the 20. Brown down the sideline, turns it into more. Jordan Brown inside the 35. 56 yards on a huge play for Carolina.
And we know that North Carolina is not only going to need their running game, but the running game is going to have to produce gash plays like we see right here when Jordan gets loose down the sideline.
Jazz Surratt to throw on 1st down. And he's got his man, Daz Newsome, to the 1-yard line. Beautiful throw and catch.
And it's amazing what a quarterback can do when he has protection and he has a guy running a route that gets separation, as North Carolina is going to hurry up on the goal line.
Brown the back. Jordan Brown driving the legs. Touchdown. He got in.
Jordan Brown does a great job of finishing after contact. Keep your legs moving, and North Carolina talked to us yesterday about needing something good to happen early. Well, that's what good looks like here today.
Yeah, but they undershot, Kel. They wanted a 1st down on the first
no
drive.
Kidding.
They got a touchdown on the 2nd drive.
As the momentum is stopped, the knee goes down before the ball is shown to go over the goal line. I think this is going to be overturned, and it's going to be inside of about a half a yard short. That's a great look at it, and that's exactly what the replay booth is supposed to be looking at as well. We tallied the knee down.
After
the ball
review,
was across the goal line.
it was determined that the runner's knee down with the ball 1 foot short of the goal line. It would be 2nd down and goal from the 1 foot line.
Well, the good news for Carolina is they have been pretty good at red zone touchdowns once they're there, 68% for the season.
Yeah, the problem is the getting down there, right? Finishing hasn't been their issue once they're there, but you're right. This foot right here that they have, North Carolina has to go to get in the end zone, is vitally important early against Miami.
A very tough defensive line and linebacker crew for the Hurricanes. 2nd down and goal for Surratt and Brown, and it's Brown, and he's stacked up. He lost a yard and a half. Chad Thomas was in there first. 3rd and goal.
If Surratt can take a snap from under the center, this is the time to do it. That's what I don't like about the gun stop, is you snap it 4 yards deep to get a foot.
He's rolling out this time. The throwback is incomplete. Demetrius Jackson got a hand on it, and now what do you do if you're Larry Fedora?
I think you do something similar that you just did. You get Surratt outside the pocket, but give him a run pass option on 4th and goal. Right now, why do you not want to go for it? Make something happen early. Well, something isn't 3 when you're a foot away. Something is a touchdown. I don't think Larry Fedora even considered anything else.
You don't want points to take the lead?
I want a touchdown to give me hope.
Surratt play action. Under pressure, down he goes. Shaq Quarterman dragged him down. Points were on the board. Replay took him off. And Larry Fedora tries to go for it. It was Shaq Quarterman with the stop.
Good defenses do this, right, Jason?
They do.
They bail you out, and I don't mind the call, to be perfectly honest with you. I think a field goal is just as deflating as not getting anything.
Which just happened.
You get a shot at it, though. You had a shot at getting a touchdown. I think that was, in the end, no more deflating than getting 3.
Oh, the official got in the way as Travis Homer gets free and turns it upfield into Carolina territory. It's a gain of 35 and a pick play from the official.
The official made a great rub to free up Travis Homer. And
Rozier goes, and he's down to the 41. You thought he might run a little bit more today against Carolina, which just doesn't have as many guys as you'd like to have. Just the sheer numbers of it, it's truly astounding.
It really is, and it's really devastated both sides of the ball. The defense, I think there are about a dozen or more out on the offensive side. I really haven't seen anything like that in football, in covering it from this perspective.
Ever. Blitz coming from the outside. Homer couldn't hang on. There was a cavalcade of white jerseys in front as Jeremiah Clark forced a quick pass, so 3rd down.
North Carolina defensively was very fortunate that that screen did not get all the way to Homer, because it was set up really well. I don't think Homer would have actually met any resistance out of the defense until he had gained about 20 yards.
1 for 4 start today for Malik Rozier.
He's been a slow starter this entire season. That's another area of his game that has to improve before they meet teams like Virginia Tech and Notre Dame in the next 2 weeks.
He's got Richards down at the bottom, Berrios in the slot left, and Rozier to run. Down he goes. Jalen Dalton for Carolina's defense, and now 4th down Miami.
Certainly Mark Richt is going to play field position, and Jalen Dalton does a great job of getting off. Certainly Rozier is a runner, and is that a face mask? I don't know. I think that's a good one that you let go. But once again, a very good job defensively, as there's going to be a long field goal attempt by Miami right here.
Michael Badgley, who's long this year, is 50. This is from 53 for Badgley. It is no good. By a lot.
Too much torque on the driver, and you push it right.
Beautiful day to hit him. But no score. Carolina and Miami have given away some chances. So Miami goes for the deep ball to Thomas, can't hit, and misses a field goal. So North Carolina takes over across the 35-yard line.
Georgia, white ball.
Chaz Surratt has a couple linemen in front, and down he goes after a couple yards. Chris Button.
Jason, North Carolina's offense not very frustrated by not scoring on that previous drive. Watching them on the sidelines, Chaz Surratt really positive. Josh Cabrera came over. They talked about kind of some misreads, but overall very positive.
Brown on the run. He has been very effective early on. And we were sitting in the meeting room earlier this week, yesterday, and there's a big sign that says stay positive.
You're the only one that was frustrated about not getting 3 on the board. I don't think anybody in this stadium or on North Carolina's sideline was.
It's a double reverse, and Ratliff the pass. Nathan Elliott, the 3rd quarterback inside 5. Well, he threw the ball a little last year. Here he catches the ball for North Carolina with Surratt out. Nathan Elliott, wide receiver. He rolls out, and it's incomplete on the short hop for Ratliff. And 2nd and goal. So his first play, Nathan Elliott does the pass catching. A redshirt sophomore out of the state of Texas who came in for a couple of games last year. James Madison got his first playing time of his career against Illinois last season behind Mitchell Trubisky. He'll let Brown do the work this time, and he slams on the brakes. Zach McLeod, who had the roughing the passer penalty that knocked Surratt out with the stop, 3rd and goal.
And once again, North Carolina is doing the hard work by getting down here, but you have to finish. They finished great in the red zone 68% of the time, as we see Surratt warming up on the sideline and is looking as if at least he has the potential to come back in the game. But man, does North Carolina need to end up in the end zone right here.
Third down for Elliott. He throws incomplete for Daz Newsome. And North Carolina now, after no thought of a field goal from inside the 5, will kick it this time, it seems.
And the run pass option, the quick play fake of the zone up inside, and Daz Newsome gets loose. That ball has to be on him by the young quarterback and Nathan Elliott. And North Carolina closes that out in the end zone. Once again, one more missed opportunity for North Carolina offensively.
So it's a 24-yard try for Freeman Jones they're left with. But for a Miami team that wanted to play a complete game, down 3-0 to 1-7 North Carolina, under 5 to go in the first quarter isn't exactly the hope.
Not looking like it.
Well, Mark Richt, back to his university where he started his college career, trying to get this team on the board. Evan Sheriffs is in at quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes. So backup quarterbacks galore. Rozier is out, as is Chaz Surratt. DJ Dallas is the tailback to the second team offense for Miami. And a quick throw to Berrios, the slot receiver. He's dragged down right at the line of scrimmage by Miles Dorn.
And
interesting choice here.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that speaks more to the slow starts that Rozier has suffered under. And the offense has been kind of slow starting because the quarterback gets off slow. And so maybe just a change up by Sheriffs. Remember, Mark Richt is one. He knows how to handle quarterbacks, and an early hook by Rozier, maybe just to get a different perspective from the sideline.
Just the 3rd pass all year there from Sheriffs, whose brother is the starting quarterback at Connecticut. Sheriffs has it batted back in his face. Malik Carney got the hand up. It's 3rd down for the Carolina defense, and the momentum swinging viciously.
Yeah, and Carolina's defense is living in a good place, but Carney just gets a push and then gets his hand up. He's not going to get to Sheriffs. Next best thing is you can affect the passing lane, and that's exactly what Carney does. And Rozier was in the locker room for an unexplained reason, and he's back on the sideline now. We'll see if we can get a report onto why he left the field.
Third down. Sheriffs gets away from Drennan, loads up a throw, and he misses as we check in with Chris.
Malik Rozier had to go to the locker room to check out his shoulder. That's all the information I know. As soon as I find out more, I'll let you guys know.
Chris, thank you. So we'll see if Rozier comes out for that next series for Miami. But what we do know is about 11 minutes in, this isn't exactly the case they wanted to make to the college football playoff jury.
No, not exactly. The last impression before that committee meets for the first time, so we'll see how this ends, but not a good start for Miami.
5 unbeatens away from home today in college football. Chaz Surratt is not coming back in right now for North Carolina. It's Elliott to steer the offense again. Surratt injured on the previous drive on the roughing the passer penalty. They run with Brown, and he is stacked up. Third down's been tough for both teams so far today in a low-scoring game. Elliott with the throw on the slant. He has Cunningham and a first down and more for North Carolina. 14 yards. The 1-7 Tar Heels with some early gumption at home. Elliott, a redshirt sophomore who just played against a couple of FCS opponents last year and a little garbage time against Illinois, running the offense against number 8 Miami, and with confidence. So North Carolina at the end of one quarter is up 3-0 on Miami.
You act surprised.
Go figure. The college football playoff rankings are coming out in a couple days. We could have havoc on the road for unbeatens this week. The redshirt sophomore out of the Denton area in Texas, Nathan Elliott, has Carolina's offense in his hands, up 3-0. He's in after the injury to Chaz Surratt, but looks like Elliott may have taken the job for now. Check down to Brown. And he dives to the 25. Redwine with the tackle. Sheldrick, Redwine, and maybe Elliott is a little dinged up.
I think you're fair game if you're on the field in this one. Both defenses are teeing off. Have your head on a swivel. This is money down, though. This is where Nathan Elliott is going to have to prove that he's ready. Third and a pass down against a defensive line that will light you up for Miami.
Third in sacks per game in the country, Miami. Elliott under duress finds some space. He can run for it. He does, and a first down for North Carolina. He's shifty in the pocket, isn't he?
He really is. There was a blitz off the corner, and the defensive end comes free, and Elliott gets out on the edge and then makes a great decision. Nobody open, you have room to convert, and he does just that.
Brown this time gets sunk about a yard behind the line by Chad Thomas, so second down and long for North Carolina.
The red zone really needs to pay dividends, because remember that Manny Diaz's defense, it's going to be incessant pressure for the entire game. You have to get a bunch of points while you can, and North Carolina is back down here again.
Blitz coming. Elliott can't get away this time. Sacked by Joe Jackson. Redwine was in there as well.
And this is all about what Manny Diaz believes in. It's an unorthodox approach really on first and second down to create pressure that leads to a third and uncomfortable down for really any offense. And when you have your third quarterback in, who hasn't played a lot this year, this is uncomfortable against this Miami defense. You have points on the board is what you have to be telling yourself as an inexperienced quarterback right here.
Brown in motion. Quick throw on the screen, and that's going nowhere. Roscoe Johnson with his first grab. It's a loss of 3. Chris?
Jason, I've been watching Freeman Jones, North Carolina's kicker, on the sidelines, and he has been stretching an awful lot and hitting the back of his right hamstring. So perhaps that's gone into some of the decision-making on fourth down today.
Yeah, and Chris, I watched him before the game, and he was coming up short, actually going into this end of the field, coming up short on some just like this, a little bit deeper than this as well. And the theme was not enough leg at times.
Long for the season is 39. This one from 45. They faked it last time. Miami backs off, and Jones strikes it through. 6-0 Tar Heels, under 4 to go first half. How about it? You never know in college football. You never know. The college football playoff rankings coming out in a couple of days. Carolina trying to upset an apple cart. Nathan Elliott came into this game 0 for 3 so far this season at quarterback. It's been Brandon Harris and Chaz Surratt, but Harris was out for the game. Surratt was injured on a roughing the passer penalty, and now Carolina's got a quarterback. It's Nathan Elliott.
He's from Texas. He's tough, and I'll tell you what, there's some moxie going on there in the run game, the pass game. It's timely. He feels comfortable. All good stuff out of Nathan Elliott.
Surratt can only watch as Thomas takes a knee.
Oh my God.
Miami runs it. Trayon Gray in the backfield. The ACC 4 teams in the top 14 starting the week. NC State has the run at the Atlantic right now. The Coastal becomes a complete mess if Miami loses here.
Yeah, you can't figure that out right now. There isn't any doubt about it. And I think Clemson, to me, still comes out of this league. I think they come out of the bye week healthier with an attitude adjustment by Dabo Swinney, and I think they're going to play well against Georgia Tech today.
Rozier has it batted away. Cole Holcomb stepped in front. 3rd down, and FPI suggests that you're right about Clemson.
I'm more right than that suggests. I'm going to bet on that as well. I would put that percentage up a little bit, especially what we're witnessing in person with Miami currently. I would put Clemson up into pushing about 60% before this year's out.
You don't think the Jackets are going to give them a game tonight?
No, I don't. I think Brent Venables and that defense is going to completely shut down that triple option offense.
Miami 1 for 6 on 3rd down. Rozier has a strike to the 44, and Jeff Thomas for the Hurricane 1st down.
Amon Richards is still playing today, right? We haven't heard a whole lot from him, and I think that says a lot about North Carolina defensively, bracketing Richards as much as they possibly can to take him away. So far, so good.
And using MJ Stewart, their best corner, on him as well. Rozier wants the deep ball, and that was intended for Richards. 2nd down.
I believe that's the first time that Richards has actually been targeted today, and that was a move where they actually invite that bracket coverage. Richards attacks the inside portion of it and then splits them and goes vertical, and that ball was overthrown. Initially, Richards had one step, and then Hammy looked pretty good on that play.
4 drops last week for Richards, including 1 on the goal line in the opening drive. He said MJ Stewart hounding him so far this afternoon, in the run game can't get untracked. Travis Homer hit by Strobridge. 3rd down.
And I think that's why North Carolina has been so successful, that basically John Papuchis has made Miami really one-handed.
And Richards currently, Kel, is not on the field. Langham plays the same position. They each play that field side. So it's 3rd down. The top side of the field is Langham. Rozier to throw. He's got the tight end. Herndon off the spin is gone. Touchdown Hurricanes. Christopher Herndon, a matchup nightmare for 51 yards.
Well, we talked about one of the area when your outside receivers are being bracketed is the tight end Herndon. And he's just going to get down the middle of the field, get over top of the coverage, and the ball arrives very well before the safety can get there. Miles Dorn was just a little bit too late, and a well-placed ball by Rozier.
This is the half that encapsulates what Miami's done the last 3 weeks. Close games, but making enough plays. Herndon gets him in here for the lead.
Welcome back to Chapel Hill, where we have somewhat of a surprise, but Miami just struck with their big tight end Herndon. He's going to clear the second-level defender, and before the offside safety J.K. Britt can respond, it's a perfect throw by Rozier, and the big tight end gets into the end zone. Don't blink, because Miami can do stuff like that offensively.
You going at this if you're Carolina?
The first play dictates everything. If I like the feel of the first play, then I try to get something done. 52 seconds and 2 timeouts, but you don't want to do anything silly.
They do throw. It's to Brown on the swing pass, and Jordan Brown is out of bounds. Although they say his progress was stopped inbounds, so the clock is running. Johnson knocked him out, and that may make the decision for North Carolina. We'll see. Blitz coming. Brown picks it up, and there goes Elliott to the 41. So now 2 timeouts remaining. Clock will stop on the first down. North Carolina will try to get in field goal position as a timeout gets called.
And Jason, you continue to do what you just did. A throw to the sideline. Brown, I thought, got out of bounds. The clock continued to run, and then a very safe designed quarterback run, a draw in this case, where he had 2 personal protectors. More of the same to try to pick up a few more yards.
1 timeout left for North Carolina, which led for the balance of this half. Elliott incomplete.
One other note, guys, to keep in mind about Jones is that the wind has picked up down here, and he would be kicking against the wind where they're at.
That's not good news for Jones.
No, and that's the end that I said in pregame, was coming up short a little bit. So if that wind is increased, they're going to have to get him down there about 25 more yards at least.
20 seconds and a timeout for North Carolina, as Miami just took the lead a couple of minutes ago on the Christopher Herndon 51-yard touchdown. Elliott fading back, and a nice high point catch by Roscoe Johnson into plus territory, and a flag comes in late.
I think Roscoe Johnson is getting it unsportsmanlike after that play, kind of rolling the ball on the Miami defender that was laying on the ground. That's going to be a knuckleheaded play, I think, by Johnson, called late.
Result of the play is a first down. After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct on the offense, number 85. 15-yard penalty. It will be 1st and 10 from that spot.
Well, Jay, you talk about potentially taking points off the board, or at least a potential to get a late 3 here before the half. That was a bad decision by Roscoe Johnson.
I'm also going to say this, though. Is that really a penalty?
He looked at the guy and rolled the dice. In this case, the ball right on the defender or close to him. They completely try to eliminate taunting in this game, and I think that was a good look at taunting, in my opinion.
That'll do it. The penalty certainly burns North Carolina. Bad choice by Johnson. Miami will get it after halftime, but Surratt and Rozier have been under great duress. Backups both came in. Carolina's is still there. Dave and Buster's halftime report. Chris Cotter after the break. Welcome back to the ACC on ESPN. The sun is shining at Chapel Hill for the home team. 7-6, Miami with the lead. But the undefeated Hurricanes have not looked completely put together so far today. Jason Benetti, Kelly Stauffer, and look, you can want a complete game as much as possible if you're Mark Richt.
Yeah.
You got to win first.
Yeah, that wasn't it. And you think it should be 9-7, right?
I
do.
Do.
Still disagree with that? The things that had to happen for North Carolina happened in this first half. It's going to have to double up here in the second half.
You done? Can I do the Cabela's game track now? You
Go
done
for
throwing
that.
me under the bus?
Yeah.
All right, Cabela's game track shows North Carolina with a 248 to 167 number in total yards. How about that?
Really, everything that North Carolina would have wanted to happen happened in that first half, and go all the way down to the bottom. Time of possession. There's a lot of good things mixed in that. Great defense, an offense that's actually playing a little bit better overall, getting something out of the run game. All of those things worked well in the first half. But now, Jason, it's the second half, right?
It is.
All right.
To your point, though, about that field goal, I don't think Larry Fedora necessarily expected to be in a one-score game where 3 might matter as much. So
That's a good point.
It's become a different game than we expected. Jeff Thomas on the return, belted down at the 23. Downstairs, Chris Button talked to Larry Fedora.
Yeah, overall, mostly pleased with the way his team's playing. He said we got 30 more minutes. If we played better football than we played this first half, executing drives better. I asked him about Chaz Surratt. He says he's okay. He just likes the way that Nathan Elliott is playing better.
We like the way Nathan Elliott is playing probably better as well. I agree with Coach Fedora. Not that our decision really mattered that much in him still playing in the second half.
But you have to credit the kid for coming in and having that poise. I mean, he looked the part in the first half.
Yeah, you're exactly right. There was a lot of poise, calmness, under pressure, and he's going to be under pressure in this second half as well.
Travis Homer had not a whole lot doing on the run in the first half. They're going to throw, and the speed burner Thomas is absolutely gone. 78 yards for Miami out of halftime. He burned KJ Sales.
That was the matchup that John Papuchis was worried about. Out on the edges when they're doubling both Berrios and also Richards. And that time KJ Sales just ended up in the wake of the receiver. Thomas got vertical in a hurry, and more importantly, Rozier found him, dropped it right in his shirt pocket. That, my friends, didn't take long.
One step toward the sideline, a step back in, and Thomas, who might have the best speed of all the Miami receivers, goes blazing down the field for the gash play for the Miami Hurricanes, and his quarterback is absolutely over the moon. Miami breaks it open on the first play. And the Hurricane faithful are here in droves in Chapel Hill. Carolina will get it, but Miami is 78-yard touchdown strike to Jeff Thomas, who had his first career touchdown last week against Syracuse, and now showing off the wings on his feet that we heard about from the coaching staff. An Under Armour All-American last year, and boy, that's a dangerous kid.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it took Miami that long, the first play of the second half, to really get to that matchup a whole lot. You know, we talked about John Papuchis talking about the brackets, both on Richards and Berrios, and he was worried about the matchup outside at times, and KJ Sales was going to have to be right in the middle of that, and Jeff Thomas got off early in this second half.
It is the redshirt sophomore from Salina, Texas, staying in. Elliott has the ball tipped away. It's Shaq Quarterman, the very talented sophomore linebacker. Fritz, the intended target, second down.
Yeah, and the last thing you want here is a turnover, and
with Johnson out, Miami gets thinned out even more in that secondary. That's a place they cannot afford to lose guys. And that's going nowhere for Elliott. It's a loss of a half yard. R.J. McIntosh with his 11th tackle of the game.
And McIntosh is one of 7 guys up front that it's kind of incessant pressure out of Manny Diaz's defense, the defensive line of scrimmage, linebacking group, and they get after the ball carrier, whether it's the quarterback or the running back carrying the football.
Third and 10 officially.
You don't want to unloose the turnover chain right here.
Carolina trying to keep it in its box over on the sideline. Uh-oh. 2-man sack, including Demetrius Jackson. And it's a loss of 7 in punt time for North Carolina. Not exactly the A1 start they were hoping for.
The pressure is nothing new for Miami defensively, and there was a little bit of protection early. Nothing open down the field, and you tell me where he's going with this football. Late, there was a receiver coming off and going up the sideline, but there was a whole lot of Kings covering right there on that play.
You think we see Chad Surratt next drive?
I wouldn't doubt it.
That one's blocked. Lent had it blocked by Miami, and Jonathan Garvin. He may have a new piece of jewelry.
And I don't even think this was a design block. I think it's just a really good athlete in the freshman Garvin getting into that wedge, getting up in the air at 6'4", and volleyballing that one back to the ground. That was just really good effort individually.
So look, it's semantics. That's not necessarily a turnover officially, but the chain.
Where's the chain? Does the chain come out, you think?
I think it's questionable. We may have to go to an arbitrator.
I think the chain comes out on that one.
Carolina's defense playing on a short field again. Rozier to the edge, incomplete. Richards is frustrated. Second down, but more than a quarter of the points allowed by Carolina coming in this year have been on quick changes, on short fields, on bad situations.
And that has to nationally be a huge number. A quarter of the points given up, but that also means that defense has been put in a bad position a lot, but have played really good defense in these type of situations all year long.
Can they do it again? Rozier on second down decides to slide late. He got hit by Woolfolk, but he had already declared, Woolfolk had.
Yeah, and Woolfolk, I think, did a great job of changing the target zone and sliding over top of the sliding quarterback.
What's your call on third down, John?
We have to find Amon Richards at some point in time. What you have to do if someone's locking down your best receiver, as MJ Stewart is, put him in the slot as he is right now in the trips and put him on the move and free him up in his release off the line of scrimmage.
Closest to the line, Richards. They throw away from it. It's behind Homer. He sheds Woolfolk, and now we'll see where the spot is. Collins finally took him down, and it's going to be fourth down for Miami.
I think Mark Richt might seize the moment here. I think a little better pass allows Homer. That upfield shoulder is that fine focus point right there, and he needed to get up the field. The offense was being waved to stay on, and Homer started to limp off, and I think it may have changed the head coach's opinion.
21 yards for Badgley, who has been terribly reliable for Miami, and he continues to be. So 17-6. Off the block punt, Carolina only allows the field goal. Coach and quarterback talk it over for the Hurricanes, still unbeaten and trying to put away pesky North Carolina. 3 times today, Miami has had a 60-yard field or shorter and has only put 3 points up on those 3 drives. So the Hurricanes lead by 11, but it could be more as Carolina hangs around. And this kick settles in the arms of Ratliff Williams at the 5. His return is a beauty, dancing across the 40. Ratliff Williams giving Carolina great field position. Well, Mike Gundy can score some points here. Guns up for the Cowpokes. They didn't do it last week, but they snuck out.
If you were going to get to that.
They normally score points.
Against Texas. Texas is playing good defense, however.
Brown the run, and no gain, second down.
Well, Nathan Elliott still in there. Chaz Surratt is not, and you wonder if a change is coming if on this drive North Carolina doesn't do something offensively.
Screen for Brown, breaking a tackle. Brown across the 40-yard line, and a first down for North Carolina. Johnson and Redwine, the safeties, with the stop, and an injured Hurricane player as well.
And well executed. And North Carolina has been close on a couple of screens, and that offensive line got out intact. Cam Dillard had a great block out on the end to spring Jordan Brown. Close a couple of times, but screens are kind of hit or miss. Look at all of the green grass that he has to go there. The offensive line creates enough space. Jordan Brown is able to get through it this time. Screens are basically all or nothing. They're the worst looking plays ever, and then all of a sudden you get one like that.
Sophomore out of Jacksonville, so he comes out, and they add a defensive back. Pitch to Brown with some room. Got a block from Vargas, and inside the red zone for North Carolina. Redwine chopped him down. First down on a gain of 12.
That was the speed option that we saw earlier that didn't work very well, where the quarterback Elliott is just going to go right to the in man on the line of scrimmage. Option off of that in man as he attacks the quarterback and make a successful pitch, in this case to Jordan Brown. Well executed by North Carolina.
Charles Perry has come in to play that linebacker spot vacated by Pinckney. Ratliff Williams in motion. That's a backwards pass. He throws. Touchdown! Bo Corrales. Gadgetry from the Tar Heels. You going for two?
It appears some kind of swinging gate type of thing on the two or not, and what a great call. Bo Corrales just stalks the receiver on the potential run and then gets down the field, and then Ratliff 2 for 2 on those type of plays today.
They will line up to kick, and Freeman Jones. The crowd's back in it in Chapel Hill. How about this play call by the Tar Heels?
And the Tar Heels certainly have to be creative offensively. And the gadget, you're going to get the handoff to Ratliff Williams. And then down at the bottom, Bo Corrales initially was going to be a blocker, and then he slips by the defender. The safety has no shot getting over there. Slightly underthrown. Malik Young was on the coverage initially. Very well executed. The backward pass, the forward pass from Ratliff to Williams, and then Bo Corrales did have to go finish on the ball because it was underthrown to some extent.
Miami fans are sick of these white knuckle games as Thomas takes it out of the end zone, and Thomas gets steamrolled at the 6-yard line. Wonder if Homer on the run, just the 5th rushing play called in the second half for the Hurricanes.
Guys, one of the things that I asked Manny Diaz, what do you do with it during the week? I mean, does it have a handler during the week? He said, we keep that top secret. We don't want anyone to know where it is. We don't want it stolen. Let's pretend we fly it to Switzerland and back during the week.
He said white gloves, right? Somebody with white gloves carrying the thing out. It's very well protected. Like Rozier down the sideline. Berrios with a dive at midfield. A beautiful grab.
With that really good protection in the second half, we're seeing more of this. Berrios goes vertical and gets over the top of Miles Woolfolk. And you see right there the finish on the ball, slightly overthrown, but well done on the finish by Berrios.
Hurricanes trying to finally capitalize on a turnover. The chain's been out a lot this year, but the points have not followed as Langham was pinned to the sideline by Stewart. Second down. I do think I offended Manny Diaz a little bit when I was talking about the turnover chain with him this week. I said it kind of looks like the Marlins Park home run statue. He said, no, that's gaudy. This is awesome.
Yeah, you did offend him, and it almost ended our call, and we were not getting all the information. But look at that right there. And this is the reason that Mark Richt feels that there's a lot more for them to do as a team. A defense that's getting the turnover and breaking out the turnover chain, and an offense that isn't fully taking advantage of those takeaways.
To the outside it goes, and Rozier finally dumped out of bounds, and maybe a flag coming. We'll see. Cole Holcomb whipped him to the sideline, and no sign of a flag after 18 yards.
So, Jason, if Mark Richt gets what he wants from his team, they put both sides together, and there was a little extracurricular afterwards, but the finish there was more about Rozier being a little bit of off balance. I'm glad there wasn't a flag thrown on that, but it's about a complete dominating game, and it's turnovers turning into points. We'll see if Miami can get it done here.
Corner blitz came, and they got there. It was Carney, not the corner, but the defensive line makes it go. A loss of 5.
Well, the corner blitz you referred to occupied a blocker, and Carney was able to shake loose up inside. The running back steps up outside. There's no help for the leakage inside, and Carney gets home to Rozier.
Malik Carney, who had his first sack ever in the opener against Cal, builds on his team lead for the season. Number 8 undefeated Miami on its heels. More pressure and another sack. Clark busted down the door. Holcomb collaborated. 3rd and forever.
Miami has made an adjustment offensively and going to a little bit more empty. And John Papuchis, the defensive coordinator for North Carolina, said, you know what we do when you go empty? We fire up the boys and get after you, and that's exactly what he's doing on this drive.
He's a guy who learned from Nick Saban and Bo Pelini and any number of others on an LSU staff where he was the quality control coach, Papuchis, and his defense has played with some teeth this year.
Yeah, all year, and they're doing it right here on this drive, getting after Rozier the last 2 attempted passes.
Rozier to Herndon, who had the touchdown in the first half, and now Miami from the 37 could actually contemplate going for this.
I was going to say that it's that tweener area where you don't gain much by punting it, but your field goal kicker can't reach it unless he has a bazooka for a leg, and Rozier is staying on. Look for the outside matchups once again. Good pass protection inside translates into at least the opportunity to get to my weapons on the perimeter.
Richards topside, one-on-one for now. 4th and 13. Rozier tipped and incomplete. They'll gain nothing on 4th down as Dalton smacked it to the Chapel Hill turf. They lost 12 yards on 2 sacks and said bye-bye to field goal range.
And Jalen Dalton ends up batting one down, and it's about affecting the passer. You see Dalton looping from the inside to the outside, getting in the throwing lane, and Rozier couldn't steer it around him. So many ways to affect the passer, and Jalen Dalton on that play just got up in the throwing lane.
Don't look now, but with about 16 minutes left in this game, North Carolina is a definite threat to upend Miami, but that's not going to help. Charles Perry goes to the jeweler. Last 2 plays for North Carolina have brought out the chain.
And Elliott was under duress, and Brandon Fitz didn't cross the defender's face, and instead it's a turnover by Perry. Good job finishing on the ball. Perry's going to be in tight coverage on the tight end, Brandon Fitz, in the slot position. And there was pressure in Elliott's face. The ball ends up in front of the intended receiver, Fritz, to some extent. And Charles Perry gets the chain.
Another short field, and Rozier spikes this. Michael Irvin was in the area, so 2nd down. And that is the sound of the men working on the chain.
Well, it's good to see that Chris hasn't actually taken that one away from anybody.
I don't think anybody's going to take this away from Manny Diaz's opportunistic defense this year.
No turnovers, no takeaways in the first half by that defense, and all of a sudden it seems like the chain has come out and they're getting them in bunches currently.
See if the defense can hold the line again. Rozier decides to run and gets collapsed on. Tamon Fox and Jason Strobridge. So 3rd down. We just showed you points off turnovers has been a lumbering affair for this offense this season.
And it's a defense in North Carolina that has been put in harm's way more than you can imagine, but held up extremely well, as they have today. On the last turnover, 0 points for Miami, and this one is not looking great. Empty set once again. The last time John Papuchis said, to heck with it, we're bringing the house.
Rozier does take the snap. He's under pressure, and it's incomplete. Tipped by Holcomb. Fox the pressure to go along with the turnover chain. Miami might want to have a 1-possession game magnet. They've had 3 straight. We're leaning on another one in Chapel Hill. Another tight one for undefeated Miami, 17-13. And it's punt time for the Hurricanes with 15 minutes left on the clock in Chapel Hill. 1-7 North Carolina has Miami at the edge of the unbeaten cliff. Low snap to Fiegels. And a high kick. Stewart got bumped into by his own player who was thrown into him. And Carolina has it at the 15.
We've talked about the turnover chain the last 2 possessions. North Carolina has coughed it up. Keep it on the ground a little bit, and successful so far.
Flip it out of the backfield. Jordan Brown to the sideline and out of bounds at the 38. First down for the Tar Heels. Elliott doubles back, sees some space, and Elliott decides to run, carving upfield just short of midfield. This kid has had a whale of a day.
Tremendous decision. When a pass is called and a quarterback runs it, typically it amounts to a good decision. The pirouette, he gets out to green grass to his left side, and what a heady play by a youngster that hasn't had a lot of experience on the field.
Played in high school for his father, Bill. He was 0 for 3 for the season when he woke up this morning. 2 receivers in the area, and neither caught it. Ratliff Williams and Roscoe Johnson. And it's 3rd down and 1.
Ratliff Williams and Johnson are arguing about who was not supposed to be there, but Nathan Elliott, the numbers aren't going to blow you away, and the last 2 possessions obviously didn't end well, but the headiness, there's something about what he's doing right now that works for Larry Fedora. That's why he's still in the game, and Chaz Farrat is not.
You like the shotgun here, 3rd and 1?
Not really. I really have a problem with moving your quarterback 5 yards away from the line to gain.
Newsome in motion. This is Daz Newsome on the run. He has the first down inside the 45.
Jason, that was one of the things that North Carolina told us they were going to use more of. Moving Daz Newsome in particular, fly sweep, sometimes a decoy, sometimes getting it on a nifty run like that.
Motion again. Pitch it out. That may be a backward pass, and it in fact is called incomplete. Now again, we just got some updated information from the officials on backward passes. At this point, because of instant replay, the idea is to let it be called a backward pass and let replay change it. So the bias has changed from previous years when they said, when in question, it is a forward pass.
And that's exactly how the line judge called it. He called it an incomplete pass immediately. And I think that was well done on the field.
Reverse again. Ratliff Williams threw a touchdown earlier, and he airmails Elliott, who got drilled as a receiver. Carter got the hit on him.
Nathan Elliott was open initially, and Ratliff Williams tried to actually throw this in there with a little zip on it. I think that's a late hit. I think the fans are exactly right here. There were 2 steps taken by the defender, Amari Carter. That easily could have been called late.
I agree with you. That's a flag.
Yeah, that definitely should have been thrown.
10th play of the drive. Elliott just took a lick. He's in the pocket now, fading out of it. Elliott is a little bit short with it and incomplete. Ratliff Williams the target. 4th down, North Carolina. What's your call, Kelly?
Against this defense, first of all, is this going to be a catch, no catch? Ratliff Williams goes down and gets it, and that clearly hits the ground first. But field position, the way your defense is playing currently, I think you play for field position and get this ball back in better shape. The thing I don't want here is for my punter to punt this football in the end zone.
Lent is the reserve punter. He sends it soaring into the Chapel Hill sky. And Berrios at the 15. Tight one for the Hurricanes once again. Hurricanes trying to wriggle off the hook yet again. They lead by 4 from the 15-yard line in their own territory after a Lent punt that pushed him back to the 15. Rozier just 13 of 32 with that incompletion today.
And Malik Rozier just has not looked comfortable the entire afternoon, and a lot of it has to do with John Papuch's North Carolina defense just not allowing the quarterback to get on track.
Big hit, shaken off, and a first down for a homer, and the Hurricanes to the 30-yard line.
And Jason, that's one of the reasons why North Carolina had been successful, is making Miami kind of one-handed. The run game in any explosive way has been kind of non-existent, and it's been a good job of then rallying to the quarterback to defend him.
That one sails over Herndon. Second down. You surprised we haven't seen more of Homer, the running back?
Yeah, and I am. It seems like Miami went away from the run a little bit early, but sometimes as play callers, Mark Richt in particular, it says, how long do you want to beat your head against the wall? And you can see right there, Homer the first 6 games, and then today it's just really hasn't gotten a whole lot done, and it's a lot to do with the pressure North Carolina does on the defensive line of scrimmage.
Linebackers coming. Thought he might look to Herndon. Instead, it's a jump ball, and it's intercepted. Picked off by Woolfolk, but they're going to get Renee on interference, we think. That was needless contact. The ball was underthrown, Kelly.
And Renee did not see that matched up on Amon Richards outside, and it looked to me like he basically drugged the receiver Richards down, and his colleague was in the process of catching a pop fly behind him.
Was it catchable is the question, though. Can you say this was so far underthrown it was not catchable by the wide receiver?
It's going to be hard because Amon Richards.
Defense, number 5, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Wow, that is a tough call. Amon Richards was planting his foot, seeing the ball, trying to get back to it. And Renee just ran through him, but Renee was also looking back at the ball, just hadn't planted his foot to get back there. I think that call was iffy at best and woefully underthrown. What do you think about that?
I think 2 flags were coming. One official threw the flag, and then the far side official had it in his hand too and saw the other one out there and declined it. Question, was it tipped at the line? Carolina is saying this ball was touched.
Wow.
I think you can make the argument it was.
Jalen Dalton was the defensive lineman getting his hand up, and it may have very well been tipped.
Interference stands. Rozier over the middle, has a completion. DJ Dallas into the secondary and down at the 5. Holcomb tracked him down 49 yards for a guy Mark Richt said they had to get involved this week.
DJ Dallas brings a different level of speed to that running back position. You saw it on that little quick yards after the catch, turn face up and then hit the afterburners.
Dallas breaks a tackle and not the second one. 2nd and goal. Alan Cater drove him down. Again, the Hurricanes are rapping on the door. Can they get in against a red zone defense that prides itself on field goals or nothing?
And a red zone offense in Miami that hasn't exactly been stellar down there at getting touchdowns themselves. 54% is not championship type red zone offense.
Richards is out. Langham is in at the bottom of the formation. Herndon, the tight end, in the slot left. Rozier to Barrios, touchdown.
By formation, you isolate Barrios on the red shirt freshman Miles Woolfolk, and that is a mismatch. The quickness in the slot, get across the defender's face. If your quarterback Rozier puts it on the receiver, it's a touchdown, and Rozier did right there to Berrios.
That was the spot that Papuchis was scared about, the slot and Berrios. It pays off there.
Well, Jason, North Carolina had things going. First of all, they thought they had an INT, but it's rather a pass interference, and DJ Dallas makes the explosive play, and Berrios is a finisher of drives that he does on this one. And Chris got us a clarification on that, whether the ball was tipped at the line of scrimmage or not. The officials told her it is reviewable, and they didn't feel it was tipped. It was reviewed quickly, therefore the pass interference stood. That's a great job by Chris getting that information for us.
Elliott on the roll, and that is intercepted by Redwine. Another pick for the Miami defense, and Sheldrick Redwine, who got karate kicked by Eric Dungy last week from Syracuse, gets a new chain for his collection.
And Nathan Elliott is taking on water, and he get outside, and then he just throws an errant ball, but turnover chain, beware. There it is.
The scene could only be better if they had UB40 playing on the sideline with the coronation. He's got a little message for us. I think he wants to be in a calligraphy program at Miami. SC top 10, I believe. Rozier steps up, snaps it off, intercepted, picked off by North Carolina. And J.K. Britt. They just can't put it away, Kel.
I think we've seen this movie before, even in Syracuse, with 4 takeaways by Miami's defense in the first quarter, and they couldn't put them away. Malik Rozier just simply did not see the safety, J.K. Britt. He locked onto his deep seam route and then proceeded to hit Britt right in the chest with the football. You have to start with your eyes right, knowing that you're going to throw left, and North Carolina's defense comes up big again.
Only 3 picks coming into this game all year for Rozier. That's Ratliff Williams, who's thrown it a couple times in motion, and a screen that's tipped and incomplete.
Guys, I talked to the players this week about the idea of is Miami back? Is the U back? And the critics, and both Chris Herndon and Malik Rozier told me that we're not worried about what they say. If we go out and we blow out a team, that's going to make a statement itself. Interesting, when I asked Manny Diaz about it, he said, we don't even talk about winning. We talk about being physical and being tough, and if we do that, people will notice.
Elliott has wide open green grass in front of him. And he gets dumped by Jackson after a gain of 16. There's still 4.5 to play in this thing. And if that type of busted defense keeps happening, Hurricanes might be in trouble.
Yeah, find a way to get in the end zone, and it would make this really, really interesting down the stretch.
Elliott decides to run again and lean for a couple. Carolina with all 3 timeouts remaining. This is a North Carolina team that has only beaten Old Dominion this year. And with guys like Austin Prohl still healthy early in the season, played Cal very tough, played Louisville tough. Elliott sideline, Millette, and tipped away. There was some contact, but good coverage by Jackson, 3rd down.
Yeah, great coverage by Jackson. He got over the top of the receiver and batted it away.
If you're Mark Richt, what do you think your takeaway, if you win this game, is?
Well, the same thing as when he came into this game. It was, we have a defense that really, I think, is playing championship type defense. Give up some run game once in a while, but not often enough to really make that much of a difference.
Blitz coming, and it's incomplete. Floated to the side, and Johnson was the closest, Jaquan Johnson. So 4th down for North Carolina. And look, the 4 games Miami lost last year were by a total of 32 points.
Yeah.
So this is not that much different to Richt of a team than last season.
Exactly. So that's why I question right now whether they're the 8th best team in the country. Their defense is up to the challenge. Their offense hasn't been nearly consistent enough to win a championship, whether it's in conference or let alone be one of the 4 standing at the end in the college football playoff.
First rankings coming out in just 3 days as Johnson showing blitz from the safety spot. He's coming. And this is caught. Ratliff Williams. First down, North Carolina. They're not out of the woods yet.
Shaq Quarterman was coming underneath that route and trying to get under it, but Ratliff Williams went up and got it at its high point.
And that was a miscommunication. It was a stop and go. Ratliff Williams had the stop. Elliott had the go.
The throw was the go, and the stop was about 10 yards earlier downfield. But those are the things that I think a young quarterback has a hard time with, because it's about the softness of the corner, whether your receiver goes to the fade or runs the stop route, and not on the same page there.
Elliott again wide open to the left, and Elliott is ushered out of bounds by Johnson. First and goal, North Carolina.
Cue your best onside kick. That quarterback draw has shown up a few times today, and Elliott has a nifty little feel for that play. We talked about the running game needed to pay dividends for North Carolina today, and that's been one of the ways that it's done just that.
Elliott fading back, throws it out, and has a completion for a touchdown. The second time today, Bo Corrales is in. Carolina has life.
North Carolina is going to keep the offense on the field right here and go for 2.
3 timeouts left for Carolina. Onside kick isn't even necessarily
exactly.
a guarantee.
Great point.
That was a 57-yard drive in 100 seconds.
And the timing from Nathan Elliott out to Bo Corrales, it was on time, on target, and it allowed Corrales to square up and eventually get that ball in the end zone.
Ratliff Williams in motion. Elliott rolling that way, and he throws it to the cheerleaders. They'll need a touchdown. 3:03 to go. And Bo Corrales gets him in for the second time.
And Nathan Elliott does a great job of going off his primary receiver and getting back to Bo Corrales up top. It's just going to be a simple slant route, coverage inside, stop, hit the outside shoulder, allow your receiver to square up, and then do something with it right there. Make one guy miss and then get in the end zone.
There is the onside kick, and Berrios is on it at the 45. Braxton Berrios, who's had a very nice day. The Hurricanes, who are right now held to their season low of 53 yards on the ground, do they have the ability to kill the clock with the run game?
And what you're looking for out of the onside kick is for that extra bounce right at the end, and North Carolina did not get that, and Berrios is certainly a sure-handed guy. But I like your point, Jason. When you have North Carolina defensively coupled with the ineptitude of Miami on short fields, it gives you the ability to gamble on that onside kick, although it's an incredibly low percentage play in college football.
Ball loose. Homer put it on the deck. Oh, my goodness gracious. Carolina's on it. Aaron Crawford, the recovery. Collins knocked it free. Unreal.
And it did not look like Homer really had that ball to begin with. He didn't secure it as he's getting into that line of scrimmage. The ball was coming out just a little bit.
Now Hurricane fans might be hearkening back to 04 and a late Connor Barth field goal in this very venue. This has been a really rough place for the Hurricanes in history. That one's dropped by Fritz, the normally reliable junior. Second down.
And once again, a heady throw by Nathan Elliott. How about that young man coming into this game under duress against a Miami defense that's off the chart as far as the pressure numbers, sacks, tackle for loss. Even when they don't get the quarterback on the ground, he's affected. That young man, Nathan Elliott, has stood in there and taken everything.
Second down, 15. Chased by Quarterman. Elliott turns it upfield, gets drilled, and a flag is coming. His teammates rush to his aid. And this is going to be a remarkably huge penalty.
Zach McLeod is going to get called for it, I believe, number 53, the Miami Hurricane linebacker. Nathan Elliott was well out of bounds, and that was a vicious hit, and they need to get these teams separated.
After the play, personal foul, defense, number 53, 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Wow. Doesn't get much worse than that if you're Mark Richt.
And very quickly, Nathan Elliott is nearing big man on campus status.
Nathan Elliott had stepped out of bounds with that left foot. It was closer than I thought, however. Zach McLeod, I think it's still a good penalty. Nathan Elliott was clearly out of bounds.
First down, North Carolina. Trying to sink unbeaten Miami. Brown lost the ball, it's loose. Who will come out with it? Oh, what a time for an appearance of the turnover chain.
Jordan Brown was trying to get some yards after contact, and he just did not tuck the ball away. They say the 3 points of contact, and he just didn't secure the ball right there, clearly on the ground. And then it was a scrum. I think Joe Jackson, defensive end, had the initial contact that knocked that ball away. The number 99 definitely sliding down from the right defensive end position and hammers Jordan Brown and pops that ball loose.
Then Johnson and Norton ran into each other trying to recover it. Fourth turnover of the second half for Manny Diaz's defense. But Carolina does have 3 timeouts. Can Papuchis' defense get one more stop? Mouthguard went flying as Britt made the stop on Homer. Timeout, North Carolina.
Yeah, I might have just said defense right there at the end. The defense takes it away in droves. Pressure numbers all over the map, and a Miami offense that just doesn't consistently get it done.
3 yards a carry today for Homer. He gets 2 on that one. And there's timeout number 2 for North Carolina. Does Carolina have one more stop? Rozier carrying a tackler for a first down. Carney couldn't drive him down before the line to gain. And the most important chain of the day for Miami is moving. It's the first down marker.
And Malik Rozier has not looked good most of the day, particularly throwing the football. He's had a couple of moments, but uncomfortable to say the least. And I think Mark Richt is still trying to find out exactly what he has in that young man. Covered a lot of ground, but it's that type of thing you see out of Rozier. When you need a play, he typically is there to come up with something to eke his team by, and that might be what we see right now.
Why are you not taking a knee right here? There's one timeout left on the board. They're going to run it with Homer, and North Carolina uses that final timeout at a minute 22. You take 2 knees, and then you run around. There's no reason to run a play here.
I don't get it.
Right?
Absolutely.
Amon Richards, 1 catch for 11 yards on 5 targets. They're going to need more from him, don't you think?
No doubt. And that's why Berrios has been having big days is because I think people are paying attention to Richards, rightly so, but Alpha receivers have to find a way to get open, and Amon Richards has to start doing that.
Yes, this has not been a masterpiece for the Hurricanes at all. However,
it's all about winning, right?
Right, you win the
At the end of the game, it's all about winning. But I guarantee you that the head coach, Mark Richt, is still trying to find a way to put together the complete package, and this was not it.
What's your takeaway from the Hurricanes today as an unbeaten team and number 8 in the country?
I don't think they are number 8 in the country. I have them actually as 10 in a group of about 6 teams that any of them could be 8 through 10. An offense that doesn't seem up to the task in crucial moments, and a defense that will keep setting the table for them. But the offense has to take a step forward. And I think that starts with their quarterback, Malik Rozier. Been great at times this year, and now it's time to move forward, and he hasn't taken that next step.
And this is a game that's seen some anger on both sides. A big hit on Elliott, the third-string quarterback for North Carolina. Now they're having to separate these
we
players.
Don't want that. We don't want to end the evening or the afternoon that way.
North Carolina gave it absolutely everything, but Miami's going to stay unbeaten and move to 7-0, building on its best ever start in the ACC.
Well, that's the bottom line. Miami's going to move to 7-0, 5-0 in the ACC. I mean, the bottom line is keep winning and you have a chance. But this was not a good impression made on the College Football Playoff Committee that is going to put their first rankings out on Tuesday.
If you're North Carolina, how does this game sit? We'll find out from Larry Fedora in the future as we check in with Chris.
Coach, another close one. You're used to these. What was the difference in the second half for you guys?
Well, for sure, defense and big plays on offense. It's about all we can muster on offense. Every so often we'd hit a big play and, you know, get it in the end zone. But it's kind of sad that we couldn't get more consistency offensively. But defense really did a nice job. And of course, North Carolina did a very good job today as well.
Can I ask what you told Coach Fedora there at the end?
Oh, just good game, you know, the normal stuff. What can you say?
I think you know who's next with Virginia. What did you learn from today that you can take into next week?
Well, we just can't be sloppy. And we were sloppy offensively. Defensively, certainly, you know, there's a couple things here and there, but they're on the field too long. We understand that. And we just got to do a better job of get some kind of drive going offensively.
I appreciate it, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Well, the Hokies are on the horizon. Those are the thoughts of Mark Richt, the winning coach today. Miami survives. So for our entire crew, Chris Button, Kelly Stauffer, Jason Benetti saying good day from Chapel Hill. Now out to Ames. Another unbeaten on the road. TCU, Iowa State coming your way.